A Tale of a Muslim Girl and Her Infidel Lover. A novel by Dr. A. Ahmed. This is an intriguing epic story which resonates with love, resilience, courage, and sacrifice. Before we dive into the tapestry of the story, I would like to inform the reader that this novel is narrated in 3 books. Book 1. The beginning of forbidden love between a university Muslim student and her infidel professor. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer, who may quote brief paragraphs for a review to be printed in a public newspaper, general magazine, school journal, or university article. This novel is a work of fiction, but the entire story is based on a real life of a Muslim girl in Sudan. All names, characters, places, and events are either the product of the author's imagination or used literary. Any resemblance to actual people, living or dead, events or locales is merely coincidental. Chapter 62. The Muslim apostate girl Ibtihal on her way to the gallows. The execution of the condemned Muslim apostate girl, the daughter of the late imam of the biggest mosque in Gadaref city Hajj Taha Al-Amin, the dissident Princess Dr. Ibtihal, is scheduled to take place at 10 a.m. on Friday. The place of the execution is a huge soccer playground in a central area in the capital city. The execution of the apostate woman will be done publicly and be shown through many local TV channels. The people of Khartoum and its suburbs began to gather on that ground from 6 a.m. to witness that important event. By 8 a.m., it became hard to find a place to stand. Some people climbed trees, and some sat on the walls of the surrounding houses and buildings. The execution will be conducted through hanging of the so-called accursed wife of Satan, dissident princess, disobedient, disloyal, dirty bitch, adulteress, and Muslim apostate woman to death. The condemned woman will be brought to the arena of death at 9:30 a.m. As soon as the police authority brings her, the execution will be performed. People can see the gallows from wherever place they are sitting. According to the Quran, the punishment of any condemned Muslim man or Muslima woman must be witnessed by a group of Muslim believers. The people had been advised and warned to be quiet and stable until such judgment of Allah and His infallible prophet is done on the accursed Muslim apostate woman. After the medical doctor declares the apostate woman is dead, then the people will be allowed to lead a peaceful demonstration in the streets of Khartoum to condemn any future attempt by Christians to deceive or brainwash any Muslim man or Muslima woman. At 8:15 a.m., the guards escorted the condemned Muslim apostate woman Dr. Ibtihal in a police wagon and headed toward the execution place. 4 police motorbikes surrounded the wagon. Each motorbike had 2 armed policemen. Inside the vehicle were sitting the condemned woman and her 4 guards. Those guards were well trained and armed. The driver of the wagon was a cop and armed too. In total, there were 13 well-trained and armed cops. Friday was a public holiday, hence there was no traffic to delay the wagon and the 4 motorbikes. They were expected to arrive at the execution ground at 9:15 a.m. The streets were almost deserted when those 5 police vehicles were speeding along the empty street. All of them were going above the speed limit. The cops who were driving those vehicles had never expected any human being to put his life at imminent risk by trying to hinder their way. However, at 9 a.m., just 15 minutes left before their arrival at their final destination, a truck emerged out of a small road and blocked their way. The cops shouted at the truck driver and asked him to move his truck out of their way. The truck driver has not responded. The cops gave a warning to him to move, or they would open fire to him. Despite the warning, the truck did not move. One of the 4 motorbikes moved closer to the truck and stopped exactly near the driver. The 2 cops who are on that motorbike have their guns in their hands. Another motorbike came closer to the truck but from the rear. The other 2 motorbikes have drawn nearer too. Then all the 8 cops came down from their motorbikes and surrounded the truck. There is only one person occupying the driver's seat. The rest of the truck is closed, and no one can see what is inside. "Get moving before we shoot you in the head," shouted one of the cops. The driver pretended that he did not understand Arabic. Then 2 cops climbed onto the truck and pulled the driver out. One of them sat in the driving seat and tried to start the engine. At that time, a huge explosion wrecked the big truck and set all 8 cops in flames. It was as if the earth had exploded by a huge volcano or powerful earthquake. The driver of the wagon tried to turn around and escape from the explosion. His escape had been blocked by another truck that looked the same as the one that had just exploded a few seconds ago. The other 4 vehicles emerged out of a small lane. More than 12 gunmen with their faces masked had opened fire on the wagon. The driver was shot dead first. Then the 4 guards had jumped out of their seats and tried to shoot the masked gunman. Then the gunmen had engaged the policewomen in fierce shooting out. The gunmen were carrying in their hands very sophisticated machine guns. The 4 guards were carrying small rifles. In a few minutes, all the 4 guards were hit and killed. Then 2 of the gunmen had climbed inside the wagon and pulled the condemned Muslim apostate woman out and forcibly dragged her to one of their vehicles. She was resisting and screaming while those gunmen are taking her out of the police vehicle. She was handcuffed and her feet were fastened with heavy chains. As soon as they forcefully inserted her resisting body in the back seat, 2 of them covered her mouth with a thick long turban. Immediately, the driver went at a fast speed, leaving behind him the dead bodies of the 13 cops, and exploded and destroyed the big truck. The other gunmen had returned to their vehicles and drove away too. All this risky operation had been done in a mere span of 17 minutes. Chapter 63. The execution of the Muslim apostate girl Ibtihal. At 9:15 a.m., the police wagon and 4 motorbikes arrived at the execution ground. The crowd began to shout their religious slogans when they heard that the Muslim apostate woman has been brought for her execution. Some of them began to jump and shout, "Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar." Others have joined them, and the entire huge gathering of Muslim men, women, and children have gone into a religious frenzy and shouting. The police authority announced through a handheld microphone that the execution cannot take place unless the people have calmed down and stopped shouting. A police officer climbed near the gallows and repeated those warnings that has been announced an hour earlier. No one is supposed to shout or throw any object on the Muslim apostate woman. Even after she is executed, no one is permitted to cast any stone, shoe, or other object on her body. After the medical doctor declares her dead, her corpse will be removed immediately and sent away. No one is going to be informed where her body will be buried. People guess the dead body of the accursed Muslim apostate woman will be thrown on the Red Sea, as the government had done before to the hanged body of the late Sudanese Muslim scholar Mahmoud Muhammad Taha in 1983. Even the Muslim relatives of Ibtihal, or the family of her infidel Christian boyfriend, will not have access to her dead body. The police officer promised the crowd that the apostate woman will not be buried in any Muslim graveyard or Christian cemetery. Even the Christians will not be allowed to know where she is buried. After the executed body is taken away, the Muslim people will be allowed to go around the streets of the capital city of Sudan and voice out their protests against those who did such an abominable deed, and warn them of not repeating such a crime against any Muslim man or Muslima woman. The crowd promised to maintain order and follow all those warnings. In a secret meeting prior to the execution, the prison authority decided to burn the dead body of the Muslim apostate woman, and then fly its remains in a helicopter and throw them inside the Red Sea at Port Sudan City. At 9:45 a.m., the crowd saw 4 guards forcibly dragging to the gallows a person with his face covered by a black thick massive piece of cloth. The body of the condemned Muslim apostate girl appeared to the crowd like an Iranian, or Saudi woman in her black burqa. The crowd could not see anything except the body of a human being. Then one of the guards lowered down the thick rope and placed the noose around the neck of the condemned to death Muslim apostate girl, who became an infidel Christian woman. The so-called accursed apostate woman had begun to struggle violently while she was trying to free herself from the hands of the other guards who were holding her with much difficulty. Even though those 4 guards had huge bodies like men, still the doomed woman continued to resist and jerk her body in all directions and kick them with her feet. With much difficulty, somehow, the guards had managed to control the condemned woman. As soon as the noose was tightened securely around her neck, one of the guards had pulled a handle, and a small hole was opened underneath her feet. Immediately, the body of the accursed Muslim woman had fallen inside the hole until it reached halfway. The guards and those who were standing close by could hear the sound of her neck when it was broken by the pull of the noose. The armed guards had surrounded the hanged body of the Muslim apostate woman Ibtihal until her body had stopped showing any movement. After that, one of the guards asked the medical doctor to come and check the pulse of the hanged body. Then the doctor checked the pulse of the Muslim apostate woman and declared her dead through a handheld microphone. Upon hearing the news of the completion of the execution of the condemned Muslim apostate woman Ibtihal Taha al-Amin, the crowd had rejoiced and shouted many times, Allah Akbar. While the Muslims were engaged in their crazy religious rejoicing and frenzied dancing, the 4 guards had descended from the platform of the gallows and disappeared inside the celebrating crowd. The crowd continued to shout. A police officer announced that the crowd must stop shouting because the body of the hanged apostate woman would be removed shortly from the gallows and taken away. Then the police officer who made the above announcement called out that the 4 guards who conducted the execution should return to the gallows and remove the dead body of the dead Muslim apostate woman. No one responded to his call. He repeated his call many times, but no one came forward. Finally, he called some policemen who were standing close to the gallows and ordered them to remove the executed body. Those cops climbed onto the platform and removed the dead body. Then the medical doctor bent over the executed body and removed the black mask from it. He jumped back and screamed in terror. Those who were standing around the gallows were surprised by the violent reaction of the medical doctor. The other police officers were also shocked and extremely frightened when they saw the face of the dead body. It wasn't the beautiful face of the Muslim apostate woman Ibtihal, but a dead face of an ugly old man. The police officer who ordered the cops to remove the hanged body from the gallows ran quickly toward the executed body. He still had the microphone in his hand. He then shouted in a loud voice that everybody heard, they had hanged the judge of the Sharia court, the virtuous Maulana Noor al-Huda Zain al-Abidin Saif al-Dawla. Chapter 64. The deadly battle after the execution of the judge of the Sharia court. The crowd of people reacted with screaming and violent reactions. Then they were controlled by the spirits of frenzy of revenge. They had interpreted the hanging of their great religious leader as a conspiracy concocted by the police authority. Consequently, they began to hurl big stones and sticks at those standing cops. Many policemen and religious leaders were buried under piles of stones. The medical doctor and the police officer who had broken the shocking news were among the victims. There was great chaos and confusion. Many people were shot dead by other police officers. Many men, women, and children had been pushed and fallen under thousands of feet and severely injured. Some of them died through a stampede. When the police authority realized that the crowd had gone beyond control, they fired tear gas at the mass of angry people. They also used live bullets and shot dead many of the angry mob. Although the tear gas and the police live bullets had chased the angry crowd from that ground, the violent rioters were still scattered in all directions. By then, the masses turned into uncontrollable angry rioters. They ran along the streets of the capital city like a horde of wild elephants and began to attack and destroy everything Christian. They set fire to many churches. They attacked and burned to ashes the Catholic Club and the Coptic Club. Many Christian homes were attacked and plundered. Some Christian houses were burnt down. Young women and small children had been gang raped. Some of the rioters reached the residence of the Archbishop of Sudan and surrounded it. Then they set fire to his huge mansion. The Archbishop, Adil Kamas Kuku, and his many servants, maidservants, and guards forced by the fire came out of the residence and tried to escape. The rioters showered them with stones and bricks. The Archbishop was among those who are stoned to death. Many of the relatives of Mr. Kamas Kuku were killed too. The attack on Christians and their properties continued from the morning of Friday until Sunday afternoon. Some Muslim policemen took part in that violent attack. The Muslim rioters did not stop their brutal attack until finally the government called in some military soldiers and gave them permission to shoot anyone found in the streets. On Sunday evening, the capital city was placed into 100% curfew. Then the curfew was lifted gradually. Meanwhile, the police authority did a thorough investigation into the mysterious disappearance of the condemned Muslim apostate woman Ibtihal Taha al-Amin, and the execution of the judge Noor al-Huda Zain al-Abidin Saif al-Dawla. The investigation revealed that some armed gangsters intercepted the convoy of the police while they were bringing the condemned Christian woman to the ground of the execution. The 9 policemen and the 4 guards were lesser in number than their attackers. Therefore, the many armed gunmen were able to shoot and killed them all. Their bodies were found lying in the street after their weapons were stolen. Then the gunmen took the Muslim apostate woman and vacated the scene of the crime. The investigation revealed that very highly trained gunmen carried out the attack. It was well planned in advance. The attackers left no clues behind them. Through some eyewitnesses, the police were able to collect the above-mentioned pieces of information. The investigation revealed further that on Friday morning, around 4 a.m. some gunmen broke into the house of Maulana Noor al-Huda Zain al-Abidin Saif al-Dawla. The judge was kidnapped at the gunpoint. His family members were tied hands and feet, and their mouths were fastened with massive pieces of strong rubbers. The investigation showed that those guards who brought Maulana Noor al-Huda Zain al-Abidin Saif al-Dawla to the gallows and hanged him to death were fake policewomen. Their photos have been placed in all media, and rewards are promised to anyone who can identify them or show where those women are hiding. What the investigation could not reveal, who were those daring gunmen who managed to defy the police authority and put themselves in such great danger and carried such a well-planned kidnap operation. The investigation also could not reveal where the gunmen took the accursed Muslim apostate woman. Many innocent Christian religious leaders and lay people have been accused and arrested and tortured by the police. However, the prime suspect on all this is the hiding Christian man Dr. Samir Peter Deng, who is the infidel lover of the Muslim apostate woman Dr. Ibtihal Taha al-Amin. The police authority promised to pay 500 billion Sudanese pounds to anyone who will lead them to his hiding place. The bounty will be double to the person who can also lead the police authority to the whereabouts of the condemned Muslim apostate woman Ibtihal Taha al-Amin. The photos of the 2 escaped lovers are circulated around the country and placed in every airport, port, and exit. Chapter 65. Traveling on a camelback with a caravan. Meanwhile, when the gunmen had attacked the convoy of the police, the condemned Muslim apostate woman Dr. Ibtihal did not have an idea what was going on. She heard the powerful explosion of the truck. She could see from the police wagon the flames and smoke of that powerful explosion. Then she began to hear gunshots. One of the guards pushed her downward and ordered her to remain to lie on her stomach. After a few minutes, she saw 2 people with black masks on their faces and guns in their hands climb inside the wagon. They took hold of her and carried her out of the police vehicle. They dragged her forcibly to a small car and began to drive away. As soon as the car began to move at a mad speed, the masked men had uncovered their faces. The kidnapped girl Ibtihal could not recognize any one of them. Their faces were grave and angry. On the way, Dr. Ibtihal tried to talk to her kidnappers. One of them put a gun to her head and placed his finger across his lips, indicating that she should keep her mouth shut. Dr. Ibtihal had understood that those people would not hesitate to shoot her if she disobeyed them. She could not comprehend why those people had kidnapped her. Why had they put themselves at such a risk and intercepted the police convoy and took her captive? Would it be possible that those people to do all this because they wanted to save her life? Or had they done that because they were interested in gang-raping her and then killing her? Those questions and worries troubled her mind until the car finally reached its destination. Then the kidnapped Princess Ibtihal saw a group of camel men approach the car in a desert area. She had not any idea why they took her there. One of her kidnappers asked her to come out of the car. She obeyed him and emerged out of the car. Then the gunman used some keys, removed her handcuffs, and unchained her feet. He then smiled and said to her, "You are now as free as a bird who had been miraculously set free out of its iron cage of the bottomless of the women's prison and the deadly gallows. Otherwise, if our brave boys hadn't kidnapped you at the right time, you would have been dead and gone to hell forever by this time. This is the young woman we talked to you about her on the phone," shouted the same man who spoke to Ibtihal about her amazing rescue by them. The other man made his camel to kneel down and got off its back. "Have you been on a camelback before, O young woman?" "No, sir," replied the kidnapped Muslim apostate woman Ibtihal in astonishment. "Today, you are going to ride on it for a long time." "You know the warnings," said the man who spoke first. "If anything bad happens to this young Sudanese woman, you know what our boss is going to do to you and your family." "I know that. Don't worry, my brother. I will take care of her more than I will take care of my daughter." "Young woman, from now on these guys are going to take care of you. You must listen and obey them. Don't try to do any foolish thing like running away from them. If you manage to escape from them, you will die in the desert out of thirst." "But who are you and who are they?" "We are the angels of God who came down from heaven to rescue you from being hanged to death in the gallows." The other kidnappers have exploded into a burst of loud peals of laughter. "The angels of God don't kill police officers to rescue an innocent woman as me. In the olden days, angels used swords to slaughter the enemies of Allah, but today angels use these machine guns to kill the enemies of their boss. I am serious. I want to know why you are doing all this for me. Why had you put yourselves in danger and kidnapped me from the police? Who ordered you or paid you to do it? I don't know who this man is, and this man doesn't know who I am. We are just following orders. We are going and leaving you with these 4 camel men. Do what they tell you to do, and you will be saved. If you run away from them, you will die of thirst in the desert or get eaten alive by some wild beasts." Then the 4 kidnappers returned to their car and drove away. While their car was speeding up, they left the miraculously rescued girl Ibtihal standing and staring at the dust that their vehicle kicked off the rough road. The same camelman tapped her shoulder and said to her while he is smiling, "From now onwards, you have to pretend to be my wife. Put on these clothes and be like one of those women." The kidnapped convicted girl Ibtihal did not know there were women in the group until the man pointed his hand toward them. There are at least 4 women and 2 little girls. All 6 females have nothing to be seen of them except the tent-like clothes that covered them from head to feet. All of them are sitting on those mountain-like camels. She wondered whether she would be able to remain on the back of one of those huge brutes for a few minutes without falling off. Without further inquiry, the freedwoman Dr. Ibtihal had donned the burqa and became like one of those black ghosts. She could hardly see anything across those face coverings. Then the camelman assisted her in climbing on a camelback and sitting behind one of the little girls. He asked her to put her feet on his back and then he lifted her upward until she seated herself on the back of the camel. She then had carefully balanced her body behind a small girl. As soon as the camel began to move forward, Dr. Ibtihal felt her body as if it were falling down. Therefore, she put her hands around the body of the little girl and hugged her tightly, not out of affection, but due to the fear of falling any time. Chapter 66. Living with the Bedouin of the Rashida. In the Holy Scriptures, in the Old Testament, it is written no man can see the face of God and live. In Sudan, they say even Allah will not live if he uncovers the face of the woman of the Rashida people. No one until today has ever claimed to have seen the face of the Rashida woman and survived. If a man finds a Rashida woman, and her husband in the desert and kills her man and uncovers her face, she will kill the man first, and then she will kill herself. This of course is unlikely to happen because the Rashida tribe is nomadic people, and always lives and travels in a group. Dr. Ibtihal had been put by those kidnappers who claimed to be her angels of God in the care of a group of Rashida people. Those people always travel between Sudan and Libya. They are Arabs who are believed to have emigrated from Saudi Arabia and unsettled between Sudan and Libya. They do not have towns or villages. They are neither Sudanese nor Libyans. They do not belong to any country on earth. They are always armed with sophisticated machine guns. They trade between Sudan and Libya. They are not subject to the laws of either country. The condemned to death Muslim apostate woman Ibtihal, who had been miraculously rescued from the jaws of death, had traveled for many weeks with those Rashida people until they reached the outskirts of the capital city of Libya. In their long journey, they came across many cities and villages and crossed many police stations in both countries, but no police authority ever dared to uncover the faces of those taboo Rashida women. The rescued Sudanese woman had endured with much difficulty the blazing sun and heat of the Sahara Desert. She did not know how many days she had traveled with those nomadic people. Due to the unbearable heat of the day, their caravan traveled mostly during the night. The Rashida women spent half of the day sleeping, and the other half cooking food for the group of the caravan. The men slept all day long. All the way from the outskirts of Khartoum city to the suburbs of Tripoli city, Dr. Ibtihal stuck to the back of that little Rashida girl, who acted as her guardian angel during her never-ending trip. The girl spoke ridiculously funny Arabic language, which the Arab girl Ibtihal could hardly understand. Therefore, being the only person with whom she was allowed to communicate, she chatted with her on a few topics. The girl could only talk about camels, food, and traveling. She told Princess Ibtihal that her name was Mastora. She could not know what school was when the educated Sudanese Dr. Ibtihal asked her whether she went to school or not. The last time she had seen her little companion Mastora was when the Rashida man who talked to her at the outskirts of Khartoum came, and told her she had reached safely her destination. When she got off the camel, he asked her to follow behind him closely, and not to look anywhere. The Sudanese woman obeyed him, and followed behind him like his shadow. The Rashida man took her to a small house, where he introduced her to another Rashida man. This young woman is going to cross the Mediterranean Sea. How much money do you want for such a service? 2,000 American dollars in cash. Dr. Ibtihal became astonished when she saw the Rashida man took out of his big hanging dirty leather bag a bundle of foreign currencies, and counted 2,000 US dollars, and handed them to the man. When do you want her to leave? I will not return to Sudan until this woman has safely crossed the Sea of the Romans. I will see to it that she gets in a ship within a month. A month? That is too long. I don't want to stay for a month in Libya. Does she have a passport? She doesn't have one. Then I need to get her a Libyan passport and a Western visa. You can arrange that within a week or two. I will try to do it within 2 weeks. Good, but listen, no man should touch this young woman. She is just like my daughter. Have you ever received any complaint about me, or about any of my male workers from those young women you brought before? I haven't received any complaint, but this Sudanese woman's case has something to do with an exceptionally important client in Sudan. If anything bad happens to this woman, it will come upon me and my family. I am a Rashida like you. You are my brother from a different mother. How then I can allow the daughter of my brother to be abused and put to shame? I also look at you as my brother from a different father, and that is why I always trust you. After that, the exceptionally important woman Dr. Ibtihal saw the two Rashida men hug each other before they said their goodbyes. Then the Rashida man had trusted the care of the fugitive Sudanese woman Ibtihal to the new Rashida man who promised to get her out of Libya and ship her over to Europe within 2 weeks. Dr. Ibtihal had stayed with the family of that new Rashida man during the process of preparing her official papers for traveling overseas. The Rashida man lived with his wife and 2 teenage daughters and a little son in a small suburb on the outskirts of Tripoli. During those days she was always puzzled by the question of who planned all this for her. First, she thought it was her lover, but she found it difficult to believe that Dr. Samir could plan all this while having every cop in the capital city and all over Sudan searching for him to rearrest and send him back behind bars for 14 years. Another possibility is that God had done all this to her because he promised he would never leave her. But she found it unlikely to accept that the righteous God could use murderers and smugglers to rescue her from her looming execution and get her out of Sudan to a safe European country. What puzzled her more was those people who had handled her until then without themselves knowing who was behind all this. In her new habitat, Dr. Ibtihal felt a bit secure and more comfortable than living with those nomadic people. The Libyan family with whom she was staying was enjoying little luxurious life and considerable freedom. Although the wife and her 2 daughters were always hidden behind black curtains in a segregated area of the house, and their bodies were wrapped from head to foot with those Rashida clothes, still they had a home, and lived in one place. Dr. Ibtihal was treated like one of those women, and hence she was not allowed to uncover her face under any circumstances. She was exempted from that restriction only for a few minutes, when her keeper brought one day a Libyan woman, who went into the women's segregated section, and took her picture. She was told that her photos would be used only for the purpose of obtaining her passport and visa. Since the day she entered the house of that family, she had never been permitted to step out. She learned from the wife of that Rashida husband that no girl would be allowed to go to school, or visit any place except if she got married or if she died. She could be released from her parental confinement only as a wife and go to her matrimonial quarantine, or as a dead body and taken in a funeral to her grave. If she fell sick, then the father would call in a female nurse. Whatever her sickness might be, the daughter would not be allowed to go to a hospital. After 15 days, as he promised, the Rashida man was able to get a Libyan passport and visa to Greece for Dr. Ibtihal. Without her permission, the Rashida man had changed her name to Mastora and gave her his first name and his family surname. Every Rashida woman was named by her parents Mastora. The little girl that the fugitive princess Ibtihal stuck on her back for 2 months was called Mastora. The wife of that man was called Sutra, and her 2 daughters were named Mastora and Monstra, which all 3 names were having the same meaning. It means the woman who takes care of her honor and guarantees the chastity of her family. The chastity and honor of the family in a Muslim country are located between the legs of the woman. When the Sudanese woman Dr. Ibtihal looked at her passport and read her name as Mastora bint al-Zubair al-Rashida, she laughed. Well, it is good to tell the reader more information about what that precious female name means. As a matter of fact, it would be unfair to translate that name into 1 or 2 words. The name Mastora comes from the Arabic verb, yastir, which means to cover or hide something private that others shouldn't suppose to see. To make this more plausible, the Quran commands every Muslim man to hide his private parts, yastir awarato. In Islam, the entire body of the woman including her voice is considered to be private parts or nakedness, awara. Therefore, each and every Muslim woman is called horma, which means taboo, and seeing her body or face is haram, which means forbidden. From this one can deduce that the Rashida family wants to show that their women are totally hidden behind those coffin-like burqas and masturahat, and woe to the man who tries to uncover those totem animals. Chapter 67. The Overseas Travel of Mastora al-Rashida. Before Dr. Ibtihal was put into the ship and began her trip into the unknown world, the Rashida man who brought her from Sudan came back and talked to her. "My daughter Mastora," said the man, calling the fugitive Sudanese girl Dr. Ibtihal by her new name for the first time, "now my brother Alzubair has prepared all your papers. You have to listen still to what he is going to tell you to do when you reach the land of the white people. Before you go, I want you to write in 5 or 10 pages what I had done to you from the time the men of my client had put you in my hands. You know how much I paid my brother Alzubair for your passport and visa. Now I am going to give you $2,000. Include that amount also in your letter. But you must never mention the food and water you ate and drank during your travel with us or during your stay in this house. It is a big shame for the Rashida people to charge their guests for the food and water they had given them." "Okay, sir, I will write all these things and give them to you tomorrow. Don't forget to mention that I had treated you the same as I treated my daughter Mastora." "I shall also mention that, sir." When the Rashida man finished his words, he counted $2,000 and gave them to the dissident Princess Ibtihal and left. He returned the next day along with his little daughter Mastora. Dr. Ibtihal was so happy when she saw her little guarding angel come with her daddy to say goodbye to her. She prostrated on her knees, and so dearly hugged her little sweet angel. Then the Rashida man had received the written statement of Dr. Ibtihal, which she wrote in 15 papers and signed them. "My daughter Mastora, I don't know how to read and write. But I know how to count money. I believe that you have written good things about me and my family. I had seen nothing from you and your family except good. So how could I betray a person and his family who showed so much love and kindness to me? God bless you, my daughter, and give you success in the land you are going to. Can I ask you one question, sir?" "What is your question, my daughter?" "Who was that boss who did all these things to me?" "I don't know who he was, my daughter. I just follow his orders." Dr. Ibtihal looked at the Rashida man for some time before she bent down and once again hugged his little daughter and said goodbye to her. Hot tears fell down her cheeks when she let go of the body of her little guarding angel. A couple of days later, Mastora bint Alzubair Rashida is sitting on the deck of a huge ship while she is surrounded by a crowd of passengers. The passengers are from all over the world. She can hear every 2 or 3 passengers are speaking in a different language. The passengers are like a small world among which she can see the white, black, reddish, and the mixture of 2 or 3 of those colors. Mastora is not interested in any one of those people around her. Her mind is deeply engrossed in many thoughts. Her life is safe but still uncertain. She did not know who those people were with whom her fate so far tossed her from one hand to another, as if she was an underage girl placed in the foster homes of many families. She was snatched from the hands of her prison guards by her kidnappers. From the hands of her rescuers, she passed to the hands of the human smugglers. Then her destiny took her through that arid desert until she reached Tripoli city. Her caretaker in Libya forged a passport and a visa under a fake name, and put her in a ship that is supposed to sail her to a port in Greece. She was told she was going to live in Athens with some caretakers. The Rashida man who gave her his name and his family name told her some people will come to receive her when she arrives at Athens International Airport. Those people will take care of her for only 2 months, and after that, she must be on her own. The Rashidaman also told her that her domestic flight from the port where the ship will drop her to Athens city had already been booked. She just needs to take a taxi and go to the domestic airport and fly to the capital of Greece. What will be her future in Athens that does not bother her, as who made all those arrangements for her is her main concern. If Dr. Samir were behind all this, why did he not come along with her or inform someone that he would reach Europe after or before her? Mastora is longing for her lover to be with her in such a beautiful ship, and among those wonderful people. She can see nothing beyond the ship except the blue sky above her, and the raging waves of the Mediterranean Sea underneath her ship. She is missing her lover so much. She had not seen him for over a year. She longs for his hug and kisses. Then Mastora folded her hands, and pressed them on her chest, and closed her eyes. She can feel her lover's presence. She can smell Dr. Samir's manly perfume, while he is sitting in front of her, and his hands surrounding her, and his lips kissing her sweet lips. Then the two separated lovers have gone into an ecstasy of pleasure. The reader must be so anxious to know before Princess Ibtihal will know who that daring person, who arranged the miraculous rescue of the condemned innocent Muslim apostate girl, and snatched her from the hand of death. Since Mastora is now many miles away from the country, where she had been unjustly condemned to die through hanging because she changed her religion from Islam to Christianity, we must leave her in that beautiful ship, and among those wonderful people to continue her trip to the West. Then we have to go back in time and space, and trace those extraordinary events from the beginning.